Greetings, one and all. This is Lloyd Brown giving full endorsement to
Starting promotion right now, radio.
the station with integrity, the station with a difference. Remember me tell you, Lloyd Brown says so. Full endorsement.
Starting promotion right now, radio.
We not stop till we drop. Saying, bless.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 10-Star General alongside Sharon Mango, and you're welcome to the original Raising the Awareness show. Do keep it locked.
Come list them out loud, everybody, yeah. Paul Bogle was a leader of the tribe. Paul Bogle was a leader of the tribe. He traveled along the way across the valleys. Although the road was rough and so many rivers to cross, he tried to set us free right in the heart of Spanish time. Paul Bogle, although the road was rough, he kept us struggle up from Harrogate to Stony Gut, right down till the boat of drop. Paul Bogle, yeah. Calling them out loud, everyone. Paul Bogle, you got to shout his name out loud. Oh yes, Paul Bogle was a leader of the tribe.
What a song.
So bad for a night. Paul Bogle, yeah, was a leader of the tribe.
Face dripping sweat, arm green like skeleton. This is not a pretty boy thing, it is a rebellion. Future ahead of me, back against the wall. 3,000 voices shout, onward, brother Paul. Date with destiny arrive, 1865. Agitating for justice, dead or alive. Gathered a small group of farmers in Morant Bay. Governor here, the people must have their say. A sad song hung in the sky that day. Still I wheel my cutlass and clear the way. Making track where there was no track. The samba wind whispered, Paul Bogle turned back. Lips cracked with thirst. I now turn back. Have to chat to the governor first. Scorched tongues get liquor ease from the tears the clouds shed. Seemingly knowing what fate lie ahead. Them say when sun a shine and rain a fall, devil and God a fight. The victory must be ours, right is right. Pants foot roll up, barefoot no shot. Walking to Spanish town from Stony Gut. Swaying trees didn't smile. And at the end of 45 miles, exhaustion and hunger a juke in our style. And still the governor hurt my pride. Refusing to hear the outcries, audience denied. If you cut me, you're not seeing a blood as the tears rolled up in my eyes. As I walk home to the gallows, beneath clouds of doom, betrayed by my own black face, captured by the maroons. Them take me to the burnt out courthouse, noose around my neck. I take my last breath, still not silenced in death. Cause 10 million more will rise until the down pressers heed to our cries. Face dripping sweat, arm green like skeleton. This is not a pretty boy thing, this is a rebellion. Future ahead of me, back against the wall. Date with destiny, onward, brother Paul.
Powerful. That was a powerful poem. The first song I played was by Cimarrons, and the Cimarrons were one of the first groups to even play in Africa and Japan. And they came with a message when they came out as a band. And I remember hearing the story of Paul Bogle. That band, Cimarrons, educated me on who Paul Bogle was. And I'm like, Paul Bogle, I kept hearing the name Paul Bogle. We then heard of, many of the other, freedom fighters that came out of Jamaica itself, So it was refreshing to hear a band talk about the man called Paul Bogle, but there's a lot of mysteries surrounding the man himself. And it's a pleasure for me as an individual, hands up, to be speaking to the great-great-grandson of Paul Bogle. Wow, that's a blessing. And we have the man called Big Stone to thank for that, because Big Stone reached out to us. Big Stone is my brother from another mother, and for him to reach out to us, we feel honored to have your presence with us. So we bless you and we thank you for being here today. Sharon, don't let me be a mic hugger, you have to talk.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you said it all. It's a pleasure. Big Stone, blessings, greetings and blessings to you, and thank you for this honor. There's so much that we want to know. There's so much that we don't know. And I'm really hoping that we will get some, real answers today and be more educated on the life of Paul Bogle. So again, welcome, Constantine. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And bless up to everybody who's tuned in. Sharon Bentley, my sister, or my other sister, Beverly Notes. Who else do we have in the room? Is that it? Beverly Notes. Yep. Bless up everybody in the room this morning. Greetings and blessings. Yes, sir.
I'm going to be monitoring the internet because the internet is acting up today. So I'll be monitoring that close-knit so that we don't have any interruptions. Since we've been doing these shows, we haven't had any interruptions up until a few minutes ago. So we know that there's certain energy that follows my man here.
We rebuke it. We're going to rebuke it.
In the name of Jesus, I got my holy water.
That's right.
Get a fresh. You got your sprinkle. All right. Constantine, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, man, let Jabba praise, man. Give thanks. Good to be here and good to see you both. I hear about Sister Sharon Mango.
Thank you so much.
But
yes.
one thing you did not tell me is what kind of mango.
Well, see, that is always the mystery. Listen, that is always the mystery. Any which one you choose, East Indian, Julie, mango, anyone you want. Means all of them.
So far, we've attached to the East Indian mango.
Everybody's attached me to the East Indian.
Give thanks. Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. When you hear a band like Cimarrons sing a song about Paul Bogle, it must have meant something to them for them to sing that. And the great lead singer for that band, who is still with us today, is Winston Reedy. He was the lead singer for that band at the time when he sang that. When you hear people do poems and acknowledge your great-great-grandfather, what does that do for you as an individual? Because I can't even phantom it.
Well, it's always good to know that one that has sacrificed not just himself, but everything that he owned. Because if we use the book, the history book as it exists, it would show that Paul Bogle himself owned 503 acres of land. Mm-hmm. So if you own 503 acres of land in 1865, you're a rich man. And if you own it today, you're still a rotten rich man. So,
yeah.
So Paul Bogle at no time in his life was a man that was really doing what he was doing for Black people because of his personal wants, and he was doing what he was doing for Black people because of his love and his affection for them. But he himself, wasn't a man that was really in need at the time in 1865.
Right. So take us on a journey of what we should know about Paul Bogle himself, for anybody who may be confused as to who he was and the role he played in Jamaica. Describe to us, take us on a history lesson about your great-great-grandfather.
Well, Paul Bogle, like I said, was a man, what them say, the history book say, not what we say. Because we as family say it's way more than that. Right. But even with the 503 acres that the history book says, it would be a rich man. Yeah. Now, in today's world, how many rich man is standing up for Black people? A lot of them is talking, but how much of them is really coming out and standing up? So Paul Bogle was a man who came from a very poor community in Spring Garden that is called Stonygut. Right. And Paul Bogle was a farmer. Paul Bogle became a baker, and by association of his friend George William Garden, he was baptized in Baptist church and later became a Baptist deacon. Mm-hmm. So people, because of Paul Bogle love and affection for his people, people always reach out to Paul, and Paul always tried to see how best him can assist as much people as possible. So as a result of that, the people kind of just rally around Paul, and automatically, they just push Paul to the forefront as their leader. But leadership, to be honest, wasn't in the forefront like Paul was really seeking to be the people's leader. But automatically, because of the plight and the pain and the suffering that was taking place, and Paul Bogle being a rich guy, but not a selfish guy, that was standing up for the cause, meeting with the less fortunate and having meeting with them, and see how best, he could address their grievance by writing letters to the Queen back then, on more than one occasion, and things like those, that walk from Stonygut to Spanish Town to try and have an audience with the then Governor Erie, to see how best him could get them to understand what was actually taking place on the ground in St. Thomas and elsewhere at the time, and how best they could really address it as a people. But back in them time there, even now, but we look at now and look what was going on them time there. They never check. Black people now have no talk. So when Paul will go down a Spanish Town and walk 40 odd miles from Stonygut and go to Spanish Town and say, him want to speak to the governor. The governor looked down on him in scan. Who is this little black boy? Who him think him is? To take up people plight and suffering from him head to come down here, come and ask to speak to the governor. So the truth is, governor here didn't meet with Paul Bogle, because Paul Bogle being a little black boy, them never seen as nobody for the governor to come sit down with and have a discussion with him. So Paul Bogle and his men had to walk back from Spanish Town to Stony Gut without having anything really constructive to tell the people that was waiting to hear from them, other than to say that the governor refused to talk to him. Then they end up hearing about a meeting that was going to take place in the parish of, back in the capital of St. Thomas. There was a meeting to take place. That meeting was supposed to take place on the 11th of October. And they walked to the meeting, but Paul Bogle, being a churchman and a lover of music, always have musician playing music when he is walking. So there are a lot of musicians that was participating at the time, just playing drums and instrument, and it so happened that upon reaching Morant Bay, the council was meeting, or the vestry was meeting at the time, where the governor was, and all of them was gathering. Again, they did not think much of black people. So they claim that they read a riot act because Paul Bogle and his men was singing and making noise as they come along. So they claim that they read a riot act. And by reading that riot act, they now have permission to shoot, and they kill some of Paul Bogle men who was already frustrated because of what was happening in St. Thomas. St. Thomas, when slavery was abolished elsewhere in Jamaica, slavery was still taking place in St. Thomas. Like, slavery never abolished in St. Thomas. And even when them say slavery is abolished in Jamaica, even if we go back and look at some things where they might tell, we can know so where they must say no make no sense. Because make we look at emancipation. Emancipation, them say, abolish what? 1838? And between emancipation and 1865 is 27 years, which means if you go back and look at the 7th of August, the 10th of August, these 1865, if you go back and look at these letters that was drafted and sent to the Queen by Daddy Paul Bogle, it tells you that there no emancipation really take place. The whole thing is a fraud. Because it was the same thing that the people was fighting for in 1865. That they were claiming that on paper, emancipation take place. But the freedom of black people and what is enjoyed today. When we go into a history book that is written by Clinton V. Black, it tells you, as a result of Paul Bogle standing up, even though they hang him, them tell you all the things that changed and came about as a result of Paul Bogle. Migration is one of them. So a lot of people that has the privilege to migrate and live elsewhere, because that Paul Bogle fight for that, spilling blood for that, owning of lands, that Paul Bogle fight for that, you know, access to education, we must remember that after slavery, there is two things where the white man never want the black man to have access to. Right? The white man never want black people to have access to. And real black people like me and you, brother, gave their real life so that we can have access to them. Those two things. And that is not something for us to take for granted. And it's access to education and the rights to vote. The white man, all when them say slavery abolished, the white man never want black man to have access to no voting. The black man must not be a part of the decision making body to decide who is to represent and who is not qualified to represent.
Yeah.
So when people talk about voting and X is wrong, please bear in mind that the X come with a lot of power and enough blood spill so that black man can have the right to mark that X. So the X that is marked and voting day is not something to take for granted. It is something that means a lot because the X determines your light bill. The X determines how much you pay for water. X determines how much you pay for your land tax. And again, Paul Bogle was the man who fight for land. Morant Bay Rebellion was about war for land. Because you cannot make people independent like what you say, or you bring, what you call it, that you bring whatever to the people, but at the end of it, them not have no access to land. And when them reach out to the queen are going to reply and say, black people, it is upon your own initiative that you will have to find a way out. But there is nothing that we are going to do to change the existing situation. Make no sense if you do not have, I don't care who you is, you must turn teeth. If you don't have, if you're willing to work, but you don't have no access to no land, and them say slavery abolished. The only life black people know for hundreds of years is working on a farm. So when a man says slavery abolished, them just come and tell you, slavery abolished, but you people do not have any access to land. It is upon your own initiative. What the hell are you
People have
saying?
to survive one way or the other. They have to
Or
find a way
another.
to survive, yeah.
You understand?
And
So
it's like nowadays, it's like even when inflation goes up and people find it hard to make a living, you know, we find that shoplifting goes up. The rate of people that go into shoplift, the crime rate increases. So we already know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So St. Thomas was going through a very, very serious situation.
Right.
Now, when Morant Bay Rebellion took place and Paul Bogle was hung, the rest of Jamaica was educated with their radio because not a lot of people have television. So they use their radio to tell the world all kind of evil about Paul Bogle and the Bogle family. To the point where even when my father was going to school, if anybody was coming from the Ministry of Education, the male Bogles would have to be snatched out of the school because it was illegal to educate a male Bogle, because one of the things that causes Morant Bay rebellion. They do not have it in their book. Is that the powers that be wanted to know who teach Paul Bogle to read, because Paul Bogle had mandated everybody that was going to his church in Stony Gut. You were mandated to learn to read. And that was illegal for a little black man to come take it up on him head bowed. Him I go teach some next black people. Them have to learn to read. Right? So it is a part of what sparks Morant Bay rebellion, you know? Not the entire, but part of it. So Paul Bogle, even today, you know, when we look at the national heroes and we look at the sequence in which they came, I love Daddy Marcus. I think Daddy Marcus worked hard and deserved to be a national hero. But Daddy Marcus came after Paul Bogle. Daddy Marcus came to St. Thomas to understudy Paul Bogle. So when they present these heroes to us, we must look what year did this one born? What year did he do his thing? And what year did he die? And then you would see that the truth, you know, is still not been told about Paul Bogle, because Paul Bogle is the man who bring a level of independence. Paul Bogle take it to them without fear nor favor. And that is why even today, as I talk with you, just on Friday, I have to take back my phone to Digicel, because Digicel not stop lock down my phone. At least 2-3 times a week, Digicel lock down my phone. And Friday, I take back my phone to Digicel. And by yesterday evening, my phone is down again. As I am talking to you, the only way you can get me unless you call me and straight call, but my WhatsApp, they lock off my WhatsApp. Why?
I'm with you.
They lock off my WhatsApp because I was able to came up with something based on genes and based on prior genes, family history, and based on my conviction. And let me say, I do not see myself worthy more than a lot of people, because me is not a man where is of any church particularly. No, but me pray a man can take me and put me into representation and me represent 20,000 people as I used to do in Yalas in St. Thomas. The 20,000 people that I represented is looking to me for help. I look help myself. So I have to take the plight of the people to one that is greater than I. So even though I may not identify myself as a particular church, it don't mean that I don't believe in God.
Right.
So I take the plight to the people them. I take the plight of the people them to God. And out of that, even before I became a counselor, out of that, I get a vision to start what is called a annual memorial for Paul Bogle and the people them were dead in a St. Thomas. Now, can you believe that more than 1,000 houses, and I am going by government document, was burned in the parish of St. Thomas, right? H.K. Stokes, Lieutenant General, Russell Corney, J.B. Mule, signed on behalf of England and the Queen of England. More than 1,000 houses was burnt. If you burnt 1,000 houses, in 1865. And if you burn 1,000 houses tonight in any parish, what would have happened to that place? Let us ask ourselves that question.
Yeah.
On top of that, when you burn down the parish, what you have done to the people, the killing, we don't talk about the killing yet, we don't talk about the burning down. And when the white man sign a document and say him burn down 1,000 houses, you know, say him no burn down 1,000 houses. Because when you go into the capital of St. Thomas, Morant Bay, and you go behind the courthouse of Morant Bay, used to be the courthouse. When you go behind that building, 437 people buried in one grave. Did you know that, brothers? The biggest mass grave in the Western Hemisphere is found in St. Thomas. 437 people buried in that one mass grave. And these are people that they said these 437 are the 437 that fight with Paul Bogle in Morant Bay. Rebellion. Now that is a lie. I tell you why it's a lie. The soldiers, them will do the killing. The same history book tell us that. Them come down through Cedar Valley and come down through Trinityville, Monkland. So all of these places, all of these hills, them same one tell you in the history book, you know, how much houses and people them kill in these places. How much them kill in a Danvers Pen, how much them kill in a Seaport, how much them kill in a Spring Garden, how much them kill all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, we only have one grave. Make me think about it. So, these people where them kill all over the parish, who carry them come, apparently come bury them in this one grave. Right? So, it is in fact thousands of people that was killed. The parish was actually wiped out because they sent 2 ships into St. Thomas because they were upset. One of the ship named Wolverine and one named Oxen. And one ship was at point A, one was at point B. The soldiers was coming to Hagley's Gap and Cedar Valley, and they were just burning down and mashing down. Now these people never have anything. When you look on Morant Bay Rebellion, it was a group of people that went with Paul Bogle. It was never the entire parish that went. Yet still, the entire parish paid a price for that. So, St. Thomas has been the parish that delivered the entire Jamaica country was delivered by St. Thomas. And it didn't stop there, because Morant Bay Rebellion did not just deliver the people in St. Thomas. Even in Africa, hot tax had to change. So even in Africa, people was benefit from Morant Bay Rebellion. No, every place on planet Earth where is a queen colony, the Parliament of England and the Queen of England had to change the laws because people became fearful that people having heard what Paul Bogle stand up to the Bakramasa and did, the world was going to emulate Paul Bogle. And this is what caused the Parliament of England and the Queen of England, all of them to come together and to change the laws. Not only that, to understand the power of Morant Bay Rebellion, is also to go back and research who was the prime minister in 1865. The prime minister stressed and died in 7 days because of Marat Bay rebellion. Stress him out and kill him because now he became under serious pressure because people will take them pitney and send come as St. Thomas. And we are talking about white people now. You know have to answer question to your country and your parliament. What did you know that was taking place prior to this event? So the thing stress him and kill him, all that them are hide from people, but that is the truth. So the name Bogle is a name where the people them fear. White man fear that name there. And it was said that anywhere you buck up on a Bogle, anywhere you buck up on a man, and him same name Bogle, him for castrate, him see them for cut out. And that is the law of not this queen, the former queen. Them laid out that law. Say anywhere you go and you see a man, a male, and him name Bogle, him have to face castration. So the Bogle them, when everybody has the light in the world, the Bogle them have to live in a bush like wild animal.
Right.
Hide from people to protect them where you call it genitals or in
Castration.
to avoid castration. So we, the Bogle family, has gone through a whole lot.
Yeah.
When nobody else no go through. And even till this minute, as I speak to you, we put out October 24th, calling on the entire world at 6 p.m. because we find say something serious happened. So we are called upon the world at 6 p.m. anywhere you're there to light a candle and put up your candle. Take a picture of yourself and your candle and to put it up, identifying with slavery and Paul Bogle and the plight of the people in St. Thomas.
Give us the day again. Give us the day again. On which day?
October 24th.
October 24th.
Yeah, that is the day that they hung Paul Bogle. And we are saying to Black people, years ago, Tony Blair, in year 2000, inside of the Parliament of England, we have the article. Tony Blair said that more than 100 million people died as a result of slavery. That's an article, you know. Remember, I do have printing machine and printing press to print the article. Came out, Tony Blair made this speech acknowledging that England is a part of the killing of more than 100 million Black people. I am saying to you,
they played a huge part, and I think it needs to be said loud and clear. They did play a huge part. Now, my anger is that for all these years of growing up and learning about so much of everybody else's history, everything that I've been reading pretty much has been a damn lie,
of course,
especially pertaining to our history. So I'm always in two minds of anything I read on the internet, especially when I was reading about Paul Bogle himself. I'm thinking to myself, how much of this is the truth and how much is just pure lies? I don't even know what I'm reading.
True, very true.
Well, they tried their best.
True.
They tried their best to tell pure lies. But you know what? there's a thing named genes, and there's a thing named DNA. And Paul Bogle, you cannot kill the spirit. You can only kill the body. So they did not know that a time would come when one would born and come up and I check out these things, what them say about Daddy Paul, and I say, no man, something wrong right here, so. If these things are true, something wrong right here, so. And make we look at it. We now have more than 100 million, not by my words, by the words of Prime Minister Tony Blair. We have more than 100 million Black people died as a result of slavery. If you have even 500,000 puss-kitten killed in any country in the world, they would add a memorial for them yearly.
They would.
And you would see people flying from all across the world to participate in the memorial. So, because this memorial not start by some man who them considered to be honorable, and it start by a simple little man and his eye and eye, but the Jamaican Council of Church voted and endorsed this memorial. The St. Thomas Ministerial Fellowship voted and endorsed this memorial. Out of 13 countries, out of 13 parish councils, 10 of the parish councils in Jamaica voted for this memorial and say it is a great idea. It must take place. Right. So we have the Baptist Union also voted for this memorial. Our first guest speaker for this memorial was Ronnie Twait.
The singer.
No, Ronnie Twait, the farmer, is a former MP.
Okay.
And he's also a white man. And when, I must say, Ronnie Twait and I, both of us, was representing the People's National Party at the time. I was representing local government, and Ronnie Twait was representing central government. When I came up with the idea, I must tell the world, cause it what it will, I must tell the world that we had a Black Prime Minister, probably the blackest man until this day, who became Prime Minister, P.J. Patterson. He turned his back on it. He passed the baton to Portia Simpson. Portia Simpson said, away the one can Bogle him a go. You know, say PJ lick down that and said that now I'm gonna away. Bam! And she lick it too. And said she now support that. Look what take place now. Portia and the baton to Bruce Golden. Bruce Golden said, what wrong with that? A PNP boy, what wrong with him? Bruce Golden said him not support it. Bruce Golden passed the baton to Andrew. Andrew said him not support it. I approach Mark Golden, a white man who became leader of opposition, not prime minister. Leader of opposition, I approach him. As a matter of fact, he called me because when he was running for the leadership and he heard that I have a vote and them are screen people and whatever and here who can help him to get some vote. So he called me up. One day, I was sitting on my veranda in St. Thomas and I asked him to support him and I says, comrade, I've never voted in a leadership race because as far as I am concerned, when you lick down a man from becoming the ultimate leader, Him have you half. I'll let him not tell you that. Him really have you half. But you know what? Nobody else asked me. Lisa never asked me, or nobody in a Lisa team never called me and asked me. So I go and vote for you. But I'll vote for you with conditions. My condition is that if you're not supporting the memorial for all of those who died as a result of slavery, I am not supporting you. I am not voting for no man on earth who is not supporting that. And him said to me, say, well, Bogle, you know something? I have never heard about this before, but it sounds very good. When I win, I will look at it, and I am willing to take a good look at it because it's very good. So that's what happened. And Mark win. 3 months after he won, I win. Now I call him up 3 months after. Him say need more time. I give him 1 year. After 1 year, and I call him up, him say, my God, and him apologize and says, I should have get back to you, Bogle, but there's so much things that I am dealing with. And him end up call me into a meeting, him and Angela Brownberg call me into a meeting, and Paul Bogle. We sit down, put the thing together, and it is now sitting in front of the parliament. A press release was done on it, calling on the government to support in honor of the national hero, a candlelight vigil for all the people who died in the Morant Bay Rebellion, a candlelight vigil and a memorial for all of those who died also as a result of slavery. It is right there sitting. And Mark was so good that he makes sure he release it to the whole world. So if Andrew Holness no play for him role, him can't say him no know nothing about it. Because
Right.
Press release.
Yeah.
That's that. It is now sitting in front of the parliament. And Morant Bay Rebellion is a thing where until this minute that I talk to you, people is still suffering because of Morant Bay Rebellion. And I can tell you there is some serious powers, not going to call any name, but exist external powers that want me dead, not alive, because who is this little man to come and talk about we must have a memorial day? It's 20 odd years now.
I feel we own people, right?
It's 20 odd days. Now, can you imagine? This document came out in St. Thomas. We have 10 councillors, one of which now became mayor. We have a Costas. Not one of them, out of all 11 people, not one of them, as this minute I am talking to you, has ever taken up the phone and said, congratulations, Con Bogle. You have done a great thing for St. Thomas. Because when the entire world light a candle for people who died as a result of slavery, and for Paul Bogle and all of them, the world is going to ask where this idea come from. And the whole world is going to want to know the place of origin.
Plus it's acknowledging what was done unjustly to those people.
Of course. And would you believe not one of them, I think it was the 26th day of July, if my memory serves me right, don't hold me to it, that Mark bring out this thing. And as I am speaking to you, some people have stopped take call from me because who is me to stand up and says, everybody from planet Earth, we have 2.5 billion black people on planet Earth. Don't let them fool you about the most people on Earth are Chinese. Not Nagosa. Because from me born and have sense, a Chinaman is permitted to have one picnic.
Yes.
One black man have all 40 picnic and still want more.
Yes.
Me have a cousin, we must have 22 picnic and she a female. You understand? She alone give birth natural birth to about 22 kids. So the thing them what them a tell we, when you hear them talk about population control and who them want to wipe off of earth and all that, is the black man them want to wipe off of the earth. Is the black man population that give them problem. And if a billion people, not if, but when a billion people light a candles worldwide, and everywhere you turn in the world is discussing Morant Bay Rebellion, is discussing how this come about, then the whole world, the eyes of the whole world will turn into St. Thomas. So the stone that the builder refused, my brother.
The builder had cornerstone.
So let me ask you a question, because one of the things that came into my head that seems to be lingering is, when did slavery become abolished in Jamaica? Forget about St. Thomas, right? But when did it become abolished in Jamaica?
Slavery and everything was really abolished after 1865 when them hung Paul Bogle was standing
1865
and fight. Yes.
Now,
that is when abolished.
So when did Paul Bogle amass his wealth? Was it before or after the abolition of slavery?
Before, man.
Before.
Them take away everything with Paul Bogle won, man.
Okay, because my next question was, how was he allowed to amass so much in that time scale?
Well, remember, you never have to give a man much for land back then. And Paul Bogle had alone at a bakery. Paul Bogle had horses, cow, mule, donkey, all kind of things. Paul Bogle have a big church at the time, and also his restaurant, not his restaurant, his bakery, right? So Paul Bogle was one of the little man that was getting revenues, and those who own land at the time sometimes just could not pay taxes. Some come to Paul Bogle, sell Paul Bogle, and they just point out from here to over there, we are sell you for X amount, not much money at the time. So Paul Bogle just owned more than 3,000 acres of land. When they tell us that Paul Bogle owned over 500 acres of land. So my question that I really want to get out, this candle vigil, every year, the president of the United States light a candle. The governor of New York light a candle for 9/11. The mayor of New York light a candle for 9/11. The people in New York is asked to participate in a massive candle vigil for those who died in 9/11. Prior to 9/11, 2 years and 11 months prior to 9/11, candle vigil was started by Paul Bogle Foundation and Constantine Bogle. There was no such thing on God Earth. Never exists. Lighting of candles in memory of anybody. Tell them to bring the video. When anybody come and disputing it, tell them we welcome you, brother. We welcome you, sister. But show us the video. Show us where in the world this was taking place. So now we have a situation where in America we have between 350 to 400 million people that is participating in a memorial. What the hell, when the 350 million to 400 million rise up and find that this candle vigil memorial that they are using to honor those who died as a result of 9/11 came about from St. Thomas, and they are forced to recognize the place where we had them a thief we sitting, and we not give them any rights to use it, and I use it to honor their loved ones.
Right.
So you see the amount of things. Now I will tell you something else, my brother, that take place. I have on my phone right now in Stone Room, where a few months ago, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Tourists came out and they said that they are going to build 4,000 hotel rooms in St. Thomas. And everybody clapped them. Yeah. Congratulations. This is money I want long time. 4,000 hotel rooms. I go build in St. Thomas. Now, anywhere you build 4,000 hotel rooms, you're talking about massive development.
Right.
You're talking about people coming from all over the world and diaspora to look work, right? But remember this, there's one piece of information that they did not give to the people. In order to build 4,000 hotel rooms, it means that the place was stimulated prior to the building of those rooms, meaning that investors around the world would have known about this particular place, showing interest in this particular place. And that is why this particular place becomes relevant to the point where they want to build these 4,000 houses.
Right.
So neither PNP, and I'm starting with PNP because I already make it clear that I am a comrade and I run on PNP ticket. I'm a former councilman. 4,000 hotel rooms. Neither PNP or JLP, none of the two political parties can show we any documentation to show that any of them stimulate the world by telling the world about St. Thomas, why people around the world want to come and see St. Thomas. It is the Paul Bogle Foundation, my brothers and sisters, that does this, because every year we have a memorial, not just in Jamaica, but we have the first candle vigil start in Ghana, is we. The first candle vigil start in what's it, about several African countries. Is we started the Paul Bogle Foundation, started. Still, this year, we have like about 15 countries that are going to be participating in this event. And as close as we is to America, we've been having one of the biggest challenges. So the truth is, the 4,000 houses that they are proposing to build in St. Thomas, it is, we don't see it as an investment. I see it as robbery, called a land the people of St. Thomas pay the ultimate price for. Their leaders and how many thousands of them lose them life through land. So to take the land and give it to some white guys, right? When I want to hear nothing more Paul Bogle, give it to them and say them name investors and them come for help with. No, they might help themselves. If them come for help I and I, then why not give the people the money and help those that is qualified, help them and set up something and make them responsible so that they can prosper. The only person tourism benefit is those abroad, and the crumbs come to Jamaica and come in a St. Thomas. And them who put up the hotel start to dictate to the people, right? Them start to dictate to politicians what laws must form to protect their investment, and they start to do all kinds of things. So I am happy that I get a platform, my brother, because I have never get a chance really to bring these things out. So I'm bringing out these things so people having listened to these things can look at it. It is not something that we need to clap and say, yes, is this man. This man will exist, not do nothing for the people then. He's taking away land with Paul Bogle, pay the ultimate price. Paul Bogle tell them, say, what you call it, the whatever, what do you call it? Paul Bogle tell them, say, that without access to land make no sense. Paul Bogle is the man who lead the rebellion. Stand up, walk from St. Thomas. Two thing there. And the whole of what is happening in Jamaica. A be a thief down here. I make decision for them own benefit and not for the benefit of the country or the people. And that I go on at Jamaica. The man them I use. Why you think they kick me out of politics? Because them said this a boy now follow no law, now follow no protocol. This a boy when you put him up for talk, he might tell the people them the truth. So true I talk the truth, we make you think them kick I out.
Well, loud and clear. I want to say to you that, you know, we will be your platform to get your message out, you know. And on behalf of me and Sharon, we're going to say that to you today. The second thing I want to do is talk about your foundation that you have out there and what you're about right now. I know you spoke about it, but I want to come to one or two things which doesn't sit right in my cranium, you know. I know for a fact that the Maroons, as they say, you know, as part of our history, fought against the English, right? Now, if that is the case and they won against the English, why would they hand over Paul Bogle to the colonial government at the time? The two, that just doesn't sit right with me. What am I missing?
Well, first of all, the Maroon thing come with generalship. And I tell you why.
Make me understand, because I am deeply confused.
First of all, any other tribe in Africa named Maroon? There's no tribe in Africa named Maroon. So when they catch the people them and put them onto the boat or ship, no Maroon went on the ship. So who is these people who call themselves Maroon? And how do you identify a Maroon, a person who call themselves a Maroon? There's no way anybody can get up and say them is a Maroon. So the whole thing with who call themselves a Maroon and Paul Bogle a sellout. I want to make no apology for say that. A sellout. Not only Paul Bogle them sell out, but them sell out themselves, because no nation, none of the tribe them, no name Maroon, brother. So I'm gonna have to tell me at which part when them become Maroon, because all of us will leave Africa, right? We are doing some research and we found out, because them want us to believe that all black people really board the ship in Ghana, and the Ghanaian them have we for donkey ears a fool the world. We now have documentary evidence to say that the man them acknowledge 15 million black people taken out of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We have document evidence to prove that ship from the Congo comes straight to St. Thomas, come let have people. So it is not just, it is just, where's the mango? Should disappear?
Yeah, she come for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
She'll be back.
Yeah, so we have document evidence to prove that Holy Palai, Ghana is not the only place in Africa that ship was rolling from. It is a lie.
Me did I say, that me did I say, because I do know there's a port in even Nigeria where the ships left from. I forget which port it was, but ports left from Nigeria. I do believe the Cameroon and Congo, as you mentioned.
So Ghana is not the only place, my brother. This whole thing and need to be looked into. There's a lot from the university.
So you say you have documentary evidence to prove that some of the ships came from the Congos, right?
Yes, ship came right into St. Thomas from the Congo. Right into St. Thomas, come drop off people from the Congo. So this whole thing, what am I talking about, like Ghana alone, all of us come from. Not of us, several places in Africa we came from we were taken from, and we were also sold by some of our own through greed.
Now the other thing that still doesn't sit right with me was that the Maroons had handed over Paul Bogle. To me, the two just do not gel together, because it's like the Maroons were fighting for the same cause as Paul Bogle, so to speak. You understand? And if that is the case, why would the Maroons be seeking out Paul Bogle to hand him over to the colonial government? Because that's what I've been reading.
Well, the Maroon in itself, based on what the colonial government is saying, the Maroon in themselves really promised.
Was it a condition?
Well, they promised Paul Bogle. They promised, the Maroons promised Paul Bogle that they would fight with Paul Bogle and that they had Paul Bogle back. So it was really a stab in the back business. But having said that, there is something that I need to make absolutely clear. And it's that I do not hold that against anybody. But I am seriously concerned, like anyone else. Why would a person identify themselves as a Maroon in this day and age when it is well documented that the greatest leader that Jamaica has ever seen is Paul Bogle? It's the greatest of all. And who sell out Paul Bogle? So these things is documented and is right there in front of us. So I don't have time to make this becomes a wedge between me and my brother, because if we go down that road, I always are going to have grievance and hatred occur for the Maroon. So that hatred and that grievance, they always going to exist.
I totally understand where you're coming from, but still, in everything I'm hearing, nothing makes sense there. It don't make sense.
That is true. That is true. Because I'm not so sure me can answer why them would have turned more than them probably get an offer. But it is something that needs really to look back at. And take a serious look at. Let
me come to Sharon Mango and because we need to ask you about your foundation and why the Paul Bogle Foundation. So I'm gonna come over to Sharon so she can ask you a question or two.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Sharon.
Oh, good. I wasn't sure this was working. I can hear everything good. Wow. I think one of the questions I did have, unless the question was asked, about Paul Bogle. There's always been like a misconception on the picture that we've seen, the picture that we have of Paul Bogle. Like, that's not Paul Bogle. I'd like to know, is that
Yes,
true?
ma'am.
Is that true?
Discrepancies there.
There's
Yeah.
a discrepancy. There's the true likeness.
Yeah, they said
of Paul
nobody
Bogle.
knows the image of Paul Bogle.
No one.
Okay. Now,
But yet,
this is
the
what-
image that they have seen has been likened to an American freedom fighter. That's what I've heard.
Right.
Okay. Can I answer?
Yes.
Okay. The picture that is on the Jamaican $2 bill
Mhm.
is the image or picture of the real Paul Bogle. It is
Okay.
the same Paul Bogle that the white man is now calling Thomas Jennings because they are trying to thief. But the white man a thief. And them are trying to thief the
Okay.
image. I tell you why. Sharon, let us look at this. I came up with the idea about everybody of goodwill lighting a candle in memory of those who died in slavery on a particular day.
Don't worry, do your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah, on a particular day, at a particular time, these candles must be lit. Now, when the world light a candle in memory of the people who died as a result of slavery, let us bear in mind that the biggest thing that ever happened on earth is slavery until today.
Right.
So the same slavery that is used to tear us apart until this day, it is the same slavery that we are using to create the unification of the black race, right? So the white man pencil out all of this and see that when the entire world light candles around the world, the picture of Paul Bogle, my brother, I hate to say these words, but you know what? It is true. Will be more powerful than the picture of Jesus because we're not sure about the white Jesus.
Well, we're sure that the picture that we had in our living rooms isn't the real Jesus.
All right. You see what I'm saying? So Paul Bogle picture are going to be the most powerful picture on earth because 2.5 billion black people can identify with it. Plus a whole heap of Chinese, white man, all different people are going to come in, come light candle. So what the man them do? The man them just pull a quick one and I say, a Thomas Jennings. And a Thomas Jennings, how can a man becomes a national hero of the highest honor that can be bestowed upon any human being in any country on earth? Paul Bogle have that. Paul Bogle picture exists for how many years and money and exists in more than one history book. And you coming to tell me how many years this thing, right, is undisputed for nearly 50 years, right? As a matter of fact, for 100 and probably nearly 50 years, because at the time when they said that they hang Paul Bogle, how can you hang a man and don't know if it's the man you hang? Eh? I hang you hang Paul Bogle, you know. You hang a wanted man, you know. And you tell the world, say you hang him, you know. And until this day, them no dispute, so them hang Paul Bogle. So if you hang the man, and you sure say you catch the man and hang him on the 24th of October, that means you know the man look.
Right.
But
So this figure here that we're looking at is the real Paul Bogle.
Paul Bogle that. Paul Bogle that.
That's all I need to know. Okay.
Yeah, man. Give thanks.
Okay. Continue, Sharon.
Oh, actually, that was my biggest question because that's always who I've known to be Paul Bogle. I mean, he sat in my living room as a kid you know, amongst the other politicians or whatever they had that represented Jamaica. He just always stood out. So I was also very curious about that.
Let me ask you then, Constantine, why does it seem that the government fight against our freedom fighters of the past so hard? What is it they're not getting?
Well, the government not really represent the people, you know. The government represents special interests, and these government, as they win, whoever become prime minister has to go shortly into England, into Buckingham Palace for the Queen's blessing. So them really represents the Queen of England and not really the people. So a man like Paul Bogle is accused of killing 29 white people one day. You know. Remember, that's what Paul Bogle accused of, killing 29. No make nobody fool it. Paul Bogle is accused of killing 29 white men in one day. And that is what free up Jamaica. So he, until this day, the head of for Jamaica is still the Queen. The strength of the world when you step outside of Africa, Nelson Mandela says, the strength of the world is Jamaica. Right? Nelson Mandela said that. Now, when Nelson Mandela said it, I started to look at it and I said, well, if Jamaica is the strength of the black man you find in Jamaica, according to Nelson Mandela, then where exactly in Jamaica is the head of the strength? St. Thomas is the head of the strength. When everywhere else come in a drum can't play it, St. Thomas man never play the African drum. So St. Thomas is a place where them fear from a long time. Them do everything. Them burn down Paul Bogle Church. Them do everything to get rid of the name Paul Bogle and to get rid of the name Bogle. As a matter of fact, I have a cousin live just down the road from me. He's a little kid. And his mother came from Manchester and get pregnant and have the kid and go back down to Manchester. The youth go and live with his mother. This is the youth grandmother. I tell me now she's not a Bogle. And she was pretty upset. This guy lived in Manchester, going to school in Manchester, and the principal tell the teachers them, say, hey, you see him named Bogle, you have to keep on your eye upon him. And the granny in St. Thomas heard about it, and she was pissed. So even today, as I am talking about you, this recently take place in Manchester, where the principal is telling the entire school, say, watch him, right? And the boy is the brightest boy in the school. Yet the principal has said, watch him because him named Bogle. Right? Academically, him are the brightest one in the entire school.
Yeah.
So, the truth is, what the Bogle family has been through. And I can tell you even more serious thing, because years ago, 2004, when I went to England, I got headline in the headline in one paper and second page in one paper discussing this memorial issue. And Black people, time come for Black people to rise up and ask their leaders in England, my brothers and sisters, you all must look and see how much councillors you have in England and how much MPs, and you now need to send them emails and ask them to support October 24th. Because we not waiting on United Nations to come and tell we say, yes, it is okay for us to light a candle. And we say we light a candle on October 24th for our ancestors.
Right.
We don't care if United Nations said
You need to start a petition.
right? Well, know that I tell you, just continue pass on the message. Yan our East Indian mango. Right?
Well, I tell you what, before we end the show, tell me, I know pretty much you've said a lot about it already, but I want us to be clear. Talk to us about the Paul Bogle Foundation. Why did you create that?
Well, Paul Bogle Foundation, was created as a spiritual organization, because the biggest asset the black man have until this minute I talk to you is spirituality. When you go to Africa, every second word that come out of an African mouth is about his ancestor. Right? Every African.
Definitely.
Speak about, yet still within their country, none of them have ever seen it fit. And that is why I respect Mark Goley. Because as a white man, he stand up and becomes the first human being and the first parliamentarian on the face of this earth to go before a parliament and say, we must have a day to commemorate not just Paul Bogle, but slavery. Every time you mention that, black people is running away from themselves. Where are they running from? Themselves.
Because they don't know their history.
That's it. They don't know their history.
Right?
They don't know their history.
Tell them that the 11th, which is what, next week, sometime is the 11th, right? Tell them that the 11th, they are going to commemorate the what we call it, 9/11.
Yeah.
And the whole place will be lighting candles. And the idea came out of St. Thomas. The all of them turn them back because no white man come tell them. See, it's a simple little black man come and I show them. And I only for them I wait to see I and I dead so that them can claim what is not theirs. Which is, I'm speaking about some people. Make we look, before you close, let me say this. Make we look at reparation. Such thing never about, People used to talk about reparation, but as an official organization, it came about because of Paul Bogle Foundation. Right? Do you know? And I'm not going to call his name, I don't ready to call out their name. 4 to 5 people in Jamaica has now submit to reparation committee 200 million pounds sterling to give to them. Out of the 4 or 5 people who have done this, it is they are collecting for Morant Bay Rebellion. It is only one of them no St. Thomas. Right? And the man tell me, how much is a big man at Jamaica, I mean, I'm talking terms and size. And him tell me how competent these people is. People are qualified to collect these money on behalf of St. Thomas. And I'm sitting across the table from him and I'm saying, yes, man. Yes, man. Because I don't want to stop him. I want to hear what him have to say. Because here you're looking at a man for over 20 years who has created all of these things. Never yet put my name on a document requesting that I am supposed to get money, whether it be millions or whatever. But you already, send up to reparation committee that for the 1,000 house where them acknowledge were burned down in a St. Thomas, and for how much 1,000 people were dead, 200 million pounds sterling must be rewarded to honor. As far as I am concerned, it's a bag of thief, all of them.
Yeah.
Because none of them not come from St. Thomas. None of them not live at St. Thomas. Them never light a candle on behalf of the people. Them not start this. I have been doing this for 20 odd years. Yet, but them watch you, and when the thing grow, them come and say, these people, with them name, Mr. Doctor, this and him, this and that, their name. They are competent people and qualified to collect these monies on behalf of the people of St. Thomas. I say not more than a bag of teeth. Nothing more than a bag of teeth. The reparation committee, where them send, where them are asked the money, them themselves need investigation. None of them not straight. Right? The whole of them want to...
Have you reached out to the Rasta community?
Let me tell you something. Rastas is not like once upon a time.
Okay. Talk to me about the Rasta community, though.
But I'm going to say one thing about Rasta. Rasta in Jamaica is not like once upon a time.
Okay.
It's not like once upon a time. Rastas inside of Jamaica is not like once upon a time when they were really standing tall, carrying the black flag, standing up and representing black people. We still have good Rastas, clean Rastas, but we have a lot of wolf in sheep's clothing. And we must be aware of that.
Is that due to ignorance or uneducation, whatever?
No,
what would you call it?
A lot of Rastas, in where you find them is like
lack of education. What?
No, a lot of people think that they have arrived. They have arrived because you can drive a Benz and I have to take a minibus, right? You were able to own this and own that. So you think that you are arrived. Right. So you and I is not the same. And we are saying that not just with Rastas, but with a lot of other people who think that they have arrived. And them not gone away. When you look upon a man where in position where him old, and the criteria, what is required to get him there, in degrees, and look at him paycheck, him not gone away. Him only fool himself to him can put one key in one vehicle and do so. Him not gone away. They must show off. But before we close, always remember that there's a lot of policies that is now forming in Jamaica. The teeth of Jamaica land. This government busy a thief of the land them in a Jamaica. This government. Mr. Man come a St. Thomas. Right? Come a St. Thomas. And you know, cannot land from where he come a St. Thomas. And him come there. And today, him own more than 1,000 acres of land. And he was elected to help the people them. And instead of him help them, him help himself. Me you talk.
Wow. It's a lot. It's a lot of information. It's a lot. It's just so much that we can say.
We need a part 2 and a 2, Sharon.
Huh?
We need a part 2, right?
Oh, we have to do a part 2. You know what I'm saying? Because then we have to see, well, what are we going to do about this situation or that situation? It's so much, but the corruption is on a whole nother level. That is very disparaging. And I can't, it's a lot. I'm going to say something though. And this is to do, or this is in respect to royalty involved in all of this, right? A so-called queen. And if you really take a look at their world now, it seems to me their world is coming apart scene by scene. like they're now in the forefront. They're being exposed on certain things, this royal family. The royal family has a lot to do with Jamaica and certain things that happen. I've always known that. But I feel that their price right now is the simple fact that they're now being picked apart. They're now being examined. So I say all of that to say, in regards to this Paul Bogle situation, and the previous queen who was quite adamant about any seed that comes from them. Castrate them, kill them, whatever. There's a price to pay, and I see now the price now is, it might seem confusing what I'm saying, but what I'm trying to tell you is this. Everything in its place and time, right? The acknowledgement of what Paul Bogle's contributions and belief system that people still believe and people know of. For those who opposed it, basically, I think is what I'm saying, for those who opposed that whole thing, their walls are beginning to crumble, but believe it or not. What you're doing, Constantine, or what you've done thus far will be acknowledged, because everything in its time and place, your time is coming. I feel it very strongly.
And even if you wanted to.
You couldn't stop even if you wanted to. This is an ongoing situation. The Jamaica that we love is being torn apart by these corruptions, and it just seems that every single politician that's gotten into office have only gotten into office to line their pockets. They have not helped. They have not built up their own people. That has to come from somewhere. You cannot be put into office like that, and every single person is continuing the same cycle. It's coming from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You're in office, but you're on office because this person says that you're going to be in office, and just do what you need to do, and will continue to line your pockets. That has to stop, though. You know what I'm saying? It can only go but so far. It can only go on but so far. And I feel like it's coming from...
I don't think it will ever stop. I don't think it will ever stop. However, I do believe that we need to be unwavering in our stance towards what we believe in. If you believe in it enough, then you got to lay your life on the line in order to stand up for what you believe has the truth. And that's a whole nother new dynamic when you think about life on earth and where we should be.
Yeah, this is true too. But when I spoke of certain people's lives,
we're passionate, Constantine. Trust me.
Huh? What did you say?
We're passionate about this.
We are very passionate. But what I was drawing attention to is that I think that certain things have to be pulled apart at the seams in order for systems to be broken down. I see that in, okay, like I said, for the royal family. Certain things are coming out, and more things, people will see more things. It's like I got visions. I've had visions of things being broken down to where people are like, wait a minute, this is not a real thing. Who were these people that had control over so many Caribbean countries? So much to say, so much to do, so much involvement in these Caribbean countries. And now this royalty is being picked apart. And you might not understand what I'm saying right now, but trust me, when certain things start to come to light, you're going to be like, but that mango girl did a talk about people being picked apart. You will see. Certain things have to be pulled apart.
East Indian mango.
East Indian Julie.
East Indian.
Listen.
Let me share something with you, East Indian.
Yes, sir.
The best East Indian mango you have on planet Earth comes from a place named Yalos in St. Thomas. So I am assuming that you are among the best East Indian mango. Thank you very much.
This is very true. Very true.
Thank you very much for your compliments earlier to say that you, because you have some people who can just see things just physically what is in front of them, and you have some people with spiritual eyes. Once they start talking, they start to see things spiritual.
And that's
why you say it too?
No, I just pick up.
This is
I just pick up. I just pick up Sister East Indian Mango that you have spiritual eyes because I hear you start to talk some things. So I know say you have probably third and fourth and fifth.
Amen.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
Sir.
But
yes.
I know say you have see some things. But let me tell you something. You see, the royal family, Prince Charles left England, come to Jamaica already in when I start this movement, you know. And I don't even want to tell you when him come to Jamaica for it. Right? And him come straight to St. Thomas, you know, and come 1 mile from where me live, you know. Prince Charles, you know. And when I say him come out, you know, no go so. But you say we are going to talk one next time.
Yes.
So I just want to thank you and your audience, your listeners, and everybody that made today's possible for a great afternoon. Thank you all very much. But remember, when October 24th come, remember, everybody have to light a fire. Because the fire means cleansing, and the fire means purity. And we will never, I don't care how much PhD you have, you will never able to get out of here unless not, and I now preach no physical attack and no war, because what Paul Bogle did then, we not have to do the same thing now. All we need to do is to use the power of fire. When 1 billion or 2 billion people around the world simply light a candle, take your picture and put it up. We know that the powers that control the internet is going to do everything to block it, right? Because they want to show the world as if what we're doing not going anywhere. But we know that whatever they block this year, it will be double next year or triple next year. If I tell you some things, Sister Sharon, the only reason why you're going to know, because God bless you with spiritual eyes. Once we start to tell you, you're going to say yes. You know. But thanks for meeting you all, and you all take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the history lesson more than anything else.
Yeah,
Thank
man,
you.
The word is love as usual.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Sharon, go into the next phase, please.
Yeah, man. Respect and love.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Go into the next phase, please, Sharon.
Okay, so listen, everybody in the room, you've all heard Constantine Bogle speak. I, of course, sat back, wanted to take in all the information, but listen, if there's any questions that anybody wants to ask Constantine real quick, we ask you to unmute and do so. Before we end the show, we want to give you the opportunity to address anything that you would like to ask. Anybody in the room? Question? If you don't, yeah, that's okay. It is honestly okay if you do not, because a lot of things have been said today, and there's a lot of things I did not know, and a lot of things I definitely was educated on today, and I'm very grateful to Constantine for that. So that being said, 10-star General and I are so grateful for everyone in the room.
Out of there, yes. Thank you to everyone who came in. And next week, Saturday, I'm going to be speaking with a guest from Louisiana. They're from the Unit Band. Not something you're used to hearing on this show, but they're of that funk R&B persuasion. We're going to be speaking to them out of Louisiana. And then on Sunday, we're going to be speaking to the Queens of Lovers Rock, which is Frederica Tibbs and Winston Moncrief Mitchell. Okay? So we're going to get out of here, and I'm going to leave you with this. Okay? Which is a piece by a poet, which I played at the beginning, and we're going to play it at the end. Take a listen.
Face dripping sweat, arm green like skeleton. This is not a pretty boy thing, it is a rebellion. Future ahead of me, back against the wall. 3,000 voices shout, onward, brother Paul. Date with destiny arrive, 1865. Agitating for justice, dead or alive. Gathered a small group of farmers in Morant Bay. Governor here, the people must have their say. A sad song hung in the sky that day. Still I wheel my cutlass and clear the way. Making track where there was no track. The samba wind whispered, Paul Bogle turn back. Lips cracked with thirst. I not turn back. Have to chat to the governor first. Scotch tongues get little ease from the tears the clouds shed. Seemingly knowing what fate lie ahead. Them say when sun a shine and rain a fall, devil and God a fight. The victory must be ours, right is right. Pants foot roll up, barefoot no shot. Walk into Spanish town from Stony Gut. Swaying trees didn't smile. And at the end of 45 miles, exhaustion and hunger a joke in our style. And still the governor hurt my pride. Refusing to hear the outcries, audience denied. If you cut me, you're not seeing a blood as the tears rolled up in my eyes. As I walk home to the gallows, beneath clouds of doom, betrayed by my own black face, captured by the maroons. Them take me to the burnt out courthouse, noose around my neck. I take my last breath, still not silenced in death. Cause 10 million more will rise until the down pressers heed to our cries. Face dripping sweat, arm green like skeleton. This is not a pretty boy thing, this is a rebellion. Future ahead of me, back against the wall. Date with destiny, onward, brother Paul.
We're out of there.